Hi, dear viewer, or should I say 22 whole dedicated viewers. Hopefully, a few more who are not who are encouraged by the algorithm to come across this video. But I want to talk about AI writing, and there's a lot of duress about AI writing nowadays. You know, there's a lot of talk of it on college campuses. That's a big one because the AI does people's assignments for them. And of course, because I've written a book now, and one thing that comes up a lot in book publishing and just discourse about it is the role of AI in book writing, and how a lot of authors they really hate it and they think it's horrible and it's plagiarizing them. And to the plagiarizing stuff, yeah, it's probably true. I think there's decent evidence for that. Like, fair enough. You know, the whole stealing of work. But I want to focus much more on quality, because what people will say very often is that, okay, what will people say very often? God, I'm really getting lost here. But people will say very often that AI creates slop, that everything in the world will become AI slop, and that there's AI art slop, and that there's AI writing slop. And there's a good bit of truth to that. I've read lots of AI writing. I was to I'm not sure if I gave this context, but I was one of the early adopters of AI. Like, I was using ChatGPT 1.0, or I forget what number or how they numbered it back then. But basically, when it could, like, kind of write, but it was so bad it was laughable. So I've been using this for a very long time, and I think I have a very good grasp about how it produces what it produces and the problems with what it produces. So when I see AI writing, I can detect it. I would guess I'm a good bit more likely to detect it than your average person trying to detect it, even beyond the very obvious, what are they called, the big underscore, the big line that they like the double negative thing that becomes a an M dash. Had to get to that, but it uses M dashes too much. And what's interesting about all of that, I would say, well, I guess just to finish the last thought, is that beyond things like the overt use of M dashes or every point made in threes, like, this plant was beautiful and prosperous and light, or something like that. But it's always threes. AI loves threes. But the interesting thing about all of these attributes of what AI creates, is that how do I put it? They actually exemplify the implied ideal. As in AI, I have written. I guess I shouldn't exactly out myself, so to speak, but I have gotten A's on assignments, on big assignments, using AI in the past. Actually, even in, like, grade school. I mean, it wasn't, that was the real beginning of it, but it is just to say that the AI is very good at capturing what is expected of good quality writing, of error-free writing, you could say. I think that's the best term, error-free writing. And AI is very good at capturing that. And so all of the writing in the world now has become error-free writing. And a lot of people are fine with reading AI slop, but one thing, I also have a pretty big background in writing, as I said about the book, and I've written a lot of papers. I One of my other hobbies is writing, and I also write down a lot of thoughts, like, which I record here. And how do I put it? When everything becomes that ideal, I think one thing that's very valuable about it becoming that is that you start to realize that the ideal is nonsense. That the nobody's well, I shouldn't say nobody, but any reader of Any reader of conscience, we could say, any reader of conscience is not interested in writing that is too standard. That is, as I said, the minimum quality. I already lost my own word. But no good reader and no good writer is interested in it. But I think a lot of people run into the fact that a lot of the writing in the world is done like that. And it's been done like that for a very long time. School teaches that. You know, where did AI get this triple point thing? That it would, where basically it's like not three verbs, like a three adjective, as I described before. It loves to use those three adjectives whenever it's describing something. It got that from school because that is what you're taught to do in school. I remember being taught to do it in even elementary school. That the three paragraph essay, and in the three paragraph essay, you're supposed to make 3 points with a introduction and a conclusion, and that is how a point is made. That's how an argument is done, and within paragraphs, you're supposed to, paragraphs are like usually on the low end 3 sentences, and this is where I guess it gets a little vague, but you are kind of you're just taught to do it in that three stack. And there's been research done on it before that people like threes. They like pairs of three. It's a thing that they're comfortable with that. It's not too much, but it's not too little because one is obviously not enough. Two, arguably, but it feels like something's incomplete. And four, it feels like it's too long. So three. But when everything is done to that ideal, writing kind of loses its soul. And a lot of people have talked about this, and I think they are right about it, but it's very hard to describe why. And I think the reason why is that that style is legible. You can read it, but that doesn't make it. Just because something can be written down in a way that you understand it doesn't mean that it is written down in the way you want to understand it, in the way that you would want to take it in. And this is okay. The AI slop style is fine for your middle of the road communication. Your hi, how's it going? Your your research papers, stuff like that, where you actually are just trying to convey things legibly. But it really loses its appeal when you get to storytelling, because people don't read stories, so you can say, well, it's very hard to imitate AI like in the moment, at least for me. But stories are not interesting when they're written in this very monotonous, repetitive, accurate style. It doesn't convey any personality to the writing, because in film the surrounding, the music, the ambiance, so to speak, is what conveys a lot of the underlying theme of the film if it's done right. Obviously, it can be done wrong. And writing is the same way. Is that how things are described, the length in which they're described, the words that are used. Those things are very important. And AI, instead of being able to tailor itself, it it just uses a lot. It uses words. It uses like $4 words. Like there's the term of $5 words, which is the like words that's like, wow, is that really a word? Like that's crazy. Like ambidextrous. Like that's probably a $5 word. But a $4 word is like beneficial. Let me think. Malevolent. Um, let's see, but we could think of those. There's a million of them, but so we could think of those. But the point being that they're words that are both that they're words that are big enough to show that you have a vocabulary, but they actually oftentimes don't really fit, because if it by using those words and using them consistently, AI's tone is just flat. It is flat the whole way, and there's no personality to the writing. And I've discovered this in my own writing that I am tempted to, because I've tried to use AI to write stories before, and they've come out fine. And you take what AI does, and then you add the personality to it. But what I think I'm coming to the conclusion of is that I should actually, you know, to give a little context, I have writer's block like everyone else. But my kind of writer's block is like, oh God, what word do I use here to describe it perfectly? I need it to be perfect. But that's the thing that AI revealed. That that perfect word, it's usually not important. I think it's not important, and that you should convey things in your writing in the way that comes most naturally. You do not need to get to that every sentence doesn't need to be perfect, because by prioritizing the perfection of the sentence, AI prioritizes the perfection of each individual sentence. And what that does is it undermines the perfection of a vision of a story, a vision that is not just flat. That vision, that tone can be expressed through words and then follows the narrative thematic arc of the story. And of course, you may not be a story writer, a story reader, or even interested in stories at all. But I think it's this sort of curse of everything is perfect, but we all hate it thing is spreading to other fields. And I'm not sure if this is a trend of the generations, so to speak, that the younger generation simply rejects the customs of the older generation, and AI is revealing how easy and monotonous those customs are if done to perfection. It could be that, but I tend to think that AI monotonizing all of our communication has put a magnifying glass to just how little we communicate to each other. You I think the classic example is like going to a job interview where everyone's there to just do their part. They're all there to try to look a certain way. They want to give the proper impression because they think that is all there is to be given, and that will give them the most advantage. But like people say how AI writing is soulless. I think that kind of communication, which AI assists a lot in, is also soulless. And if you go around in your life talking to people and interacting with people, saying, "How's the weather? How are the kids?" Or, of course, the best one, "Did you see the game?" You get all those together, and it's just, I will talk about nothing whatsoever for however long we have to be together. That's literally it. And then they'll just like repeat the same thing. I've been to dinners where the weather was literally talked through like 5 times through maybe an hour and a half dinner. It's happened many times because no one is willing to open up their souls in a conversation. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but that's a little beyond the depth of this particular video. But I think it's really important to just try to have your own style. Just be willing to be an actual person, because being a goody two shoes in terms of your communication is probably the role that AI ultimately stole from us all. That is the real job AI stole. It's not the manufacturing, and it's not even the communication, the communicative jobs of like doctor AI and stuff like that. Those are also true, but it perfectly embodies the role of monotonous uncommunication that is so often there in the corporate world, is so often there in our society these days. And maybe it's a real good thing there, because every time it does it, every lesson of monotonous communication becomes less valuable, and therefore we might soon come to a day where people can actually just talk to each other about what they think and what they feel, and not worry about, oh, I better order these words correctly to manufacture the image that I'm giving out. Like, enough with the image manufacturing. Just be virtuous. Just be a kind of person that people want to talk to, and make yourself into that person. And really, the world, I've long thought that a lot of people are overreacting about the world coming to an end thanks to AI. And I think there is a world coming to an end. It's maybe the world of lies and vocal sin. And I hope I'm right on that because, those are old habits that need to die hard. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. I'm happy to discuss more questions on AI because I think it's hard to throw the word expert around because I haven't taken a class and received a certificate, you see. But I would love to discuss this more. And if you have anything to say about it or agree with me or disagree with me, please say something in the comments, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. And please like and subscribe. It really helps. We're at the 22nd subscriber, and I really hope this video gets me to 23. Thank you for watching. See you next time.